With my repair panel made for the inner wing and weld through primer dried on the contact points, I refitted it again to mark out a few spots to put spot welds. I drilled them out, first about 3mm and then 6mm. There's these 3 on the end and then a couple on the top. They actually go through from the back for lining up. I was able to mark them when it was on the outside. See the 2 there on the top of that front edge of the scuttle panel, and then the top of the scuttle area has holes in it for me to weld down through. Lining it up, I use the vice grip to hold it in place at the top there, and I'm actually going to press it in with my lever bar just to get the first tack weld on it. Tap down the joint there so they're nice and tight together, and I'll do what's effectively a spot weld by filling up the hole through the top panel above the repair panel. That's it, held in at one end, and do the same at the opposite. And then these are in the middle. Again, using the vice grip to hold it tight. Now, the more complicated edge, doing it in little pieces, so there's a few little twists and bends I need to put in it to match up with the car body. With the top edge being so simple, it's effective to have that held in, and then I can just manipulate the rest. Tack welding it where it's aligned, and then tapping it into shape, and once it's aligned, again put in another and work along. Once I have it all worked into shape, then I can join up all the welds. Using a clamp now so that that overlapping edge can be bent back flush with the remainder of the inner wing. A few taps to bend it all into shape. And then fill up the hole. I do it again in pulses because I want to make sure I get weld on the metal that's on the far side of the hole first, and then fill up, and so you kind of get a little lump on the metal on the opposite side of the hole, and then melt all around that. Now I'm starting to join the dots. These are the spot welds on the leading edge of the scuttle panel. So you can see them. And you can see that I'm getting good penetration through. So flatten those down because the inner wing reinforcing panel is going to go over these and needs to fit flush. And I'm using a weld through primer on all of this, so it's got a coating of paint, and where the other metal comes in contact, I'll be able to weld through. So there was a little bit of distortion when levering this off, so I've got a little bit to manipulate back into space. And I decided some of the places where I drilled out the spot welds before, I went all the way through, and I had the option of filling those up before I fitted this on, but I decided not to because they allowed me to precisely line it up exactly where it was originally, and that just means that when I weld those up, I won't just be filling one layer, I'll be actually having to bridge the gap behind and then fill through. But it actually cuts out the stage of filling them up, grinding them flat, and then putting on the panel and welding again. It actually cuts out a stage because effectively it's the end result's the same. So I got to, as you see with this one, I've got a little bit of bridging to do first. Just dragging the weld over the hole, and then I fill up the second aperture. And I can tidy some of these from the other side if needs be afterwards. So the top edge lined up real nice. Using the vice grip then just to clamp it down good and hard. And yeah, I'm using a clamp to pull it in a bit, and that's helping to get the lower edge in where it should be. The clamp wasn't really enough to pull it in properly, so I used a ratchet strap around the car and then a block to push the edge that I needed right in place. Careful not to go too much to town on this, so I would have the strength to warp the inner wing. That's probably enough. So I've got good contact, and again, because a few of the holes were left drilled all the way through, I can see it's lined up exactly where it was originally. And yeah, I'll start. This one is already filled up because it's going into the repair panel, I think. So that gets it held in place where it's clamped the tightest. Here's a couple around the corner. There's a little drain area there to the left where any water that gets in there can get out. It's things like that getting blocked with mud that cause the rust inside panels like this. Just filling those ones up, and those ones are into the repair panel, and then the two on the right are all the way through the original. I'll take that off now. Avoid getting too much welder spit on my good strap. So these are all nicely flat to the panel. Once you've got a few welds in, the hammer will tap them down into good contact without it springing back. And also with the bit of heat that's in it now from some welding as well, when you tap it, it distorts and doesn't bounce back. A bit more malleable. I'm working my way all the way around with those. And then cleaning off the edges, because this panel actually in the factory has some MIG welds on it. Along the surface of the joint, just like this. I'm probably going to put a little bit extra in. Oh, it's really nice to see strength coming back into this. There were some cuts that went a little bit into the A pillar, but I decided not to fill and grind them down because I knew once I came welding now they were going to get filled up anyway. So again, it's just saved a little bit of perhaps overwork. Yeah, this is very satisfying. There's real structure coming back into this. And in the car you want to take over jumps. You want you don't want to bend the nose of it on landings. There's going to be a lot of stress in this area in competition. So yeah, I'm filling up the backs of a couple of the welds that were all the way through. Flattening them down now with the flat wheel on the grinder, because the wing will actually fit down on top of this, so they need to be flat in the end. Now here's a chance to undo all my good work. I left the edge a little long, just so that it wouldn't end up too little, and trimming it off with the grinder. But it all went well. So just clean those up, back to the welds, I'm going to put a bit of paint on, and I'm going to come back at it fresh later, as if there were no repairs, and complete the stitch welding across all this, but with the same mindset as I had when I approached the other side, which didn't need repairs, just so that it comes out all the same. So now I can remove the jack, and the front of the car is good and strong once again.